Hi friends, and welcome back to my Advent series. Last week was all about hope, and I drew my version of a modernised Mary of Nazareth, and today is week 2, which is all about peace. Advent means different things to different people, and people choose to mark it in all kinds of different ways. In some traditions, they light weekly candles, or others may choose to open a treat for the 24 days of December leading up to Christmas. I just watched Meghan Markle's Christmas special with Love Meghan, the Christmas special, and I loved the homemade Advent calendar that she made for her kids, where it had sweet little notes and sweet little treats. Now, my kids would riot if they didn't get a chocolate every day, so that's what they're doing. But this year I also decided to go with a renewable advent calendar. I didn't make myself, it's made out of wood, but it's one that will last. But going back to the original purpose of Advent, it's really about remembering the first arrival of Jesus and preparing for his second coming. Advent embraces the way of Jesus and encourages hopeful waiting, courageous peacemaking, resilient joy, and self-giving love in our still suffering world. This year, I'm choosing to mark Advent with an illustration for each week, inspired by the Nativity story, other pieces of art, and my own imagination. Last week, I reimagined Mary and, not pictured, but in the scene, Joseph, as two teenagers riding the Greyhound to their hometown. This week, I spent some time thinking about who and how to imagine the shepherds. In first century Bethlehem, shepherds were on the fringes of society. Their work was dirty, required constant vigilance, and often kept them ceremonially unclean, which meant they were largely excluded from temple life. They were seen as disposable, uneducated, and, sadly, overlooked. Plus, they were working at night, or at least super early in the morning before anyone else was awake. So when I think of who might represent those shepherds now, I immediately thought of sanitation workers. The work they do is invaluable. Just ask any city that has had the misfortune of enduring a sanitation worker strike. But the work they do often goes unnoticed. It's one of those things you don't notice until it isn't done. I find it so ironic that so many of the current quote-unquote faces of Christianity are wealthy, high-powered people rubbing shoulders with politicians and living in mansions, when the people that God chose to first announce his birth to were men of little money or stature, but who were trustworthy and faithful in their task. The lives of these workers were likely chaotic. I'm sure they were facing the same battles of politics and social unrest that we are today, along with whatever chaos was in their personal lives. And then, as they're going about their business and minding their own business, along comes more chaos in the form of a heavenly host of angels. Thanks to Renaissance art, angels are often thought of as cute little cherubs, but in reality, they were terrifying. Why else would Gabriel's first words be, "Do not be afraid"? Imagine the whole night sky lights up and is filled with otherworldly beings, and then they start singing. But their message is a good one. It's glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace to those on whom his favour rests. But what kind of peace were the angels singing about? Israel was seeking peace from the occupying nation of Rome, and they expected a great conquering hero to come and overturn Rome with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. We believe that if we have and can demonstrate that we have the strongest army, then our enemies won't challenge us, and that will bring us peace. Or we ignore the problem, hoping that with time and progress, the problems will solve themselves, and so we ignore conflict, thinking that this brings peace. But peace isn't found through violence or avoidance. Peace comes through honestly addressing the turmoil we all live in and working to heal the deeper issues that lead to violence, like pride and fear. And there's only one person who can fully do that: Jesus. The shepherds didn't need to do anything to be worthy of this peace. They didn't need to get more education, clean up, or get better jobs. Nothing material about their lives changed, but it was the knowledge that God, a higher power, had sought them out that brought them this peace. And God met them not on a throne in a palace, or in the Oval Office, or on a private jet, or the golf course. He met them at their workplace, in a manger, where the sheep go to eat. on the road in the same garbage truck they drive every day to keep our cities clean. And the angel told them to not be afraid. Fear is the opposite of peace. Fear creates scarcity mentality, whether it's anxiety that there isn't enough or that you're not enough. The shepherds were terrified, and the angels met that terror with immediate, absolute reassurance. And peace leads to action. I struggle with moments of anxiety and deep sadness, and the most consistent bodily response I have to these things is inaction. I wake up feeling heavy and lethargic and unwilling, sometimes unable to get out of bed. The thought of doing anything somehow makes me feel more tired. But when I'm at peace, I can do stuff. I feel motivated to face the day and hopeful for what lies ahead. The shepherds were the same. They leapt to action and ran to meet the baby the angels were talking about. And also, they couldn't keep it to themselves. Peace is contagious. So as we close out week 2 of our Advent series, I pray that you also experience this peace and remember that despite what Christians and Christianity might look like socially today, in the beginning, these are the people God chose to reveal himself to first. They were the outsiders, the ones in the dark, the ones living with perpetual anxiety. Yet they were the first recipients of the most profound peace announcement in history. And I hope that wherever you are and whatever your circumstances, that you are able to rest in this kind of peace as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next reflection on joy. I am going to try and get it out this week. It might be out next week. I can't make any promises. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me how you've been experiencing peace this week. Until next time, goodbye.